With the rise of digital nomad and remote working, there's so many destinations that people are flocking to. But in this video, I'm going to share 5 most affordable and the best destination for digital nomad. I'm going to cover the cost of living, the quality of life, also the pros and cons that you can consider if you decided to move to one of these places. So we're gonna start off with the first destination. This is also the place where I started my digital nomad journey, and up until this day, it is my favorite digital nomad destination, which is Chiang Mai, Thailand. The reason why that I really like Chiang Mai is because it's laid-back lifestyle. It's very convenient, where they have a lot of co-working space and cafes where you can work from. The cost of living in Chiang Mai is also low. So I lived in Chiang Mai for around 3 to 4 months, and I also made a video about the cost of living in Chiang Mai. So if you want to know more of the details of how much it costs to live in Chiang Mai, you can check out that video after this one. But monthly expensive can go around 800 bucks to 1,200, so it really depends on your lifestyle. But eating out, the activity, the cost of living for accommodation in Chiang Mai is considered very affordable. The quality of life in Chiang Mai is also very high. Like what I mentioned before, it's very convenient. They have a lot of cafes, restaurants, or co-working spaces. And even though Chiang Mai is a city, it's still very convenient to travel around if you want to immerse yourself in more of a natural activity like hiking or going to a waterfall. They have this sticky waterfall that I would highly recommend. You can also meet a lot of like-minded people and expat there, because in Chiang Mai there's a lot of expat who live there long-term or a fellow digital nomad. So the pros of living in Chiang Mai is definitely the affordable cost of living, the convenience, and the welcoming expat and local community. With that being said, one of the downside about Chiang Mai is the air quality. So they have the burning season, which usually goes from February to April. And I personally wasn't there during this burning season because I heard it can be really bad. You need to wear masks when you go out because the quality of air can be really bad. And even when you're indoors, sometimes you still can smell the smoke. So people have air purifier almost everywhere. For visa requirements, Thailand is one of the most welcoming country for foreigners. Most countries got 30 days visa exemption, which means you can enter Thailand for 30 days without any visa requirement. But there's also an upcoming news that they're extending the 30 days free visa to 60 days free visa. The second destination is probably the most affordable travel destination, which is Da Nang, Vietnam. Da Nang is a coastal city in Vietnam, which means you have an access to the beach. Weather there is usually great during the beginning of the year until mid of the year, which is the dry season in Da Nang. I made a mistake of going to Da Nang during the rainy season, and the weather wasn't really the best to explore around because of the wind and the rain. Obviously, it doesn't happen every single day, so you still have days where you can travel and explore Da Nang. But if you're planning to go to Da Nang, I would highly recommend to check out the weather and plan your trip around February to May. Like what I said before, the cost of living in Vietnam in general is very affordable. You can pretty much live of 600 bucks in Da Nang. The accommodation there is very affordable. But yeah, if you have a tighter budget, then I would highly recommend going to Vietnam. The quality of life in Da Nang, in my opinion, is medium to high because it offers a great combination of beach life and city amenities. So the pros of living in Da Nang is definitely the low cost of living, but the cons is there's not a lot of people who speak English in Da Nang, and they don't really have a big expat community or digital nomad community in Da Nang if you compare it to Bali or Thailand. Visa is also more tricky for Vietnam because if you're a US or Canadian citizen, then you do need to get a prior visa to enter Vietnam. And most of the Southeast Asian countries got 30 days visa exemption. I think we can't go without mentioning this destination for one of the most popular and affordable digital nomad destination, which is Bali, Indonesia. Bali is definitely one of the best digital nomad destination for a lot of reasons. Even though the cost of living in Bali keeps increasing because the amount of tourists that come to this island, I think it's still somewhere you definitely have to check out as a digital nomad, because the digital nomad community here is definitely something that you want to experience. The cost of living in Bali really depends on which area you're staying at. If you want to meet more traveler and digital nomad, then I would highly recommend to stay in Canggu. But with the amount of foreigners that live in Canggu, the cost of accommodation there is also really high. If you compare it to another area of Bali like Ubud or Uluwatu. If you live outside of Canggu, then you can live well with the budget of around 1,000 to 1,200 bucks. But if you live in Canggu, then at least you need 1,500 per month. With that being said, Bali does offer a high quality of life with a stunning landscape, the amount of activities you can do here, and a large community of digital nomads. You don't have to worry about finding a co-working space or the internet connection when you're here in Bali, especially in Canggu, because almost everywhere you go, they have a cafe with good internet and co-working space here. Most people who stay here are also traveler and digital nomads, so you can make good connections while you're staying in Bali. The cons is definitely the increased cost of living and also the infrastructure. They're building a lot of stuff, and with the amount of people that comes to this island, traffic is something that's inevitable, especially if you live in area like Canggu. For visa requirement in Indonesia, since Bali is one of the most famous tourist destination, most people can come to Bali without a prior visa and stay here for 30 days, or you can easily get a visa on arrival at the airport. If you want to stay in Bali for up to 6 months, then you can also get a B211A visa, which will allow you to stay in Bali for 2 months, and then you can extend it for another 2 months twice. So in total, you can stay in Bali for 6 months. I have to talk about this because I heard some people got scammed when they're doing the B211A visa. So you definitely want to find a reliable agent to do this visa. So if you want my recommendation, you can DM me on Instagram and I'll send you the contact of the agent that's trustworthy. Next one, oh my god, I'm so excited to talk about this destination because I am going to this destination next, and it has been on my list, and it is Tbilisi in Georgia. Heard so many good things about Tbilisi, so that's why I can't wait to check it out. Obviously, I'm gonna update you guys more in this channel, so if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell below. People keep mentioning that Tbilisi, Georgia is one of the best digital nomad destination because of the low cost of living and the high quality of life. So I noticed that the rent in Tbilisi is relatively affordable and you still get a good apartment. You can find a good apartment with 500 or 600 bucks per month. So the cost of living in Tbilisi usually range about 800 to 1,200 bucks per month. Quality of life there is pretty high because Tbilisi is a place that offers a unique blend of culture and also modern amenities. So the pros of living in Tbilisi is the low cost of living. And if you're someone who like living in a cultural city, this might be a perfect options for you. They also have a growing community of digital nomads, so I'm so excited to meet more people while I'm there. One of the cons is I heard people don't really speak English, but in Georgia they have their own writing, so they don't use alphabet. But honestly, that's one of the beauty of like traveling to a new places. You got to immerse yourself in a new culture, you got to learn new stuff. Most countries doesn't need visa to go to Georgia. You can stay for 6 months until a year depending on where you're from. So that's very generous. The last but not the least is Lisbon, Portugal. Although this might not be the cheapest place compared to Southeast Asia, but this is a good option if you want to live in Europe. The cost of living in Portugal is significantly lower compared to other places in Europe. To live here, you probably need around 1,500 to 2,000 bucks per month, but the quality of life is high there. I talked to some other digital nomad who lived there before and they all loved it because of the weather, the scenery. I heard it's really easy to balance work and life in Portugal. The cons is definitely it costs more than living in Southeast Asia, but I don't think you should limit yourself to just travel to Southeast Asia. If you're interested to explore another area outside of Southeast Asia, then I think Lisbon in Portugal would be perfect. If you have lived in Lisbon before, comment down below what do you think about living there as a digital nomad or as an expat. I would love to hear from you. So those are the top 5 destinations for digital nomad. Its destination offers excellent balance of affordable living costs, the high quality of life, and the necessary infrastructure to support the digital nomad lifestyle. So which one is your favorite and which one do you want to visit? I honestly can't wait to go to Tbilisi and I will update you guys more about it. But that's all for this video. I'll see you on my next one. Bye guys!